aka Another Day in Paradise. How you doing? Hello. What's going on? What you got growing? Shouts out to the team. Appreciate y'all for pulling up with me. All that good ish y'all be doing out here. Y'all know how we do. We got some videos to do. We gonna smoke up a blunt with you. See how you doing, how you living. It says upcoming. And I'm live now, so let's get in here. It's in the chat, so hell, it must be good somewhere. If not, it says waiting for popcorn. I don't know why it says that. Hell, they must be trying to get my stream together on YouTube. Yep, there we go. Uh-oh, Zarion, your ass needs to find you something to do, little dude. Yeah, go find you some friends or a Bible verse. Read you a book this morning. But anyways, let's get into our playlist because you know we got plenty of stuff to do. I'll talk to y'all as y'all come in though. Get this torch out the way. Y'all want to see me doing dabs until I'm doing the dabs, right? Right. He said first. Yeah. Kids like to be first person in somebody's chat. I like to be the first person in my chat because it's my chat. But anyways, y'all know we are getting ready to wrap up our 2024 workbook playlist. We've been putting in work all year on that playlist. Shouts out to our video sponsors over at Son of Odin Seed Company. You know, he got me working on my new homework project already. He done sent me auto flowers and he sent me the photo periods. So I got the backups for the genetics. So in case I like what I'm growing, I can actually keep them around. What up, Clouds? Appreciate you for stopping by. Why does it say I don't have you as a moderator? Oh, my God, I don't actually have a channel. That's why. Well, yeah, do you got one video? Y'all know to go check out Clouds. We gonna throw him a jacket so he can do some moderating. Go ahead and do you some networking while you're in here. That's my nephew. That's Zarion Briscoe. If you enjoy his content, good luck to you. I ain't gonna tell you not to go watch him. He be making videos. You might hear me yelling at him in the back. Good morning, Sue. Pleasure to see you again. Y'all know we was just talking with Sue over in Heather's chat. You know, Heather's over there doing her chronic crafting thing. I suggest y'all go over there too, in case y'all don't want to kick it with me. You know, y'all can go get y'all some crafting on. Heather might teach you how to do something. Hell, she got that list of crafting. You might learn how to make you some money off some merch. Shouts out to the money off of merch, because hell, it's a possibility. Shouts out to the possibilities, because that's what the network is about. It creates more opportunities for the possibilities. So anyways, where was we at? We was going to get started with the videos. Let's go. Shout out to my video sponsors at the Superfood Parents.
We do that by introducing you to great resources and fabulous guests all along the way. Today you got both. A guest is going to be talking about some fabulous resources that he's using so that you can help grow your health, business, and your wealth. Today's special guest has a greener thumb than old McDonald himself. The plants that this gentleman grows will make anybody say E-I-E-I-O. Now, when it comes to understanding agriculture, George Washington Carver has reincarnated himself in the form of a man from Missouri. When it comes to growing things, he makes a jolly green giant look like a midget. It's time for today's featured guest, consultant and agriculturalist extraordinaire. This time for TWP.
Hey, welcome back.
That's that, close up to the head.
Hey, there you go.
Great introduction. I'm trying to do what I can do. All right.
19,000 marijuana plants confiscated. This is the latest large-scale illegal marijuana enterprise busted in San Benito County.
One of our biggest grows this year. Usually we do see in South County, we do see larger grows, but this one being more central in our location, it's a pretty big grow.
Hollister Fire was out doing a new building inspection when they stumbled upon the operation. They notified the sheriff's office and a search warrant was issued. The 19,000 plants were found spread out in an open field off of Buena Vista Road.
Some of them were in greenhouses, some of them were in plain view.
Officials saved a few plants for evidence, but the rest were disposed of. At this point, it's unclear who it belongs to. The county's seeing several cases of this sort annually. With widespread ag land and good weather, it makes for a perfect location for this kind of activity.
Oftentimes you'll see folks get in there with hoop houses and other things and maybe start a marijuana grow because it can be cheaper to do it in a way that's not regulated, kind of under the table, if you will, the black market old-fashioned way.
So far, no arrests have been made, but District Attorney Buckingham says when reviewing a case of this sort, quantity isn't the most important part. Prosecutors look for higher crimes often associated, impacting the greater environment, such as illegal water theft, illegal water discharge or diversion, or stolen electricity.
We take very seriously the environmental concerns. We have a large agricultural area in this community, and anything that would disturb and undermine our groundwater, our drinking water, would be very damaging to the citizens of this county.
And again, the investigation is still ongoing. Anyone with any information is being asked to come forward and contact the sheriff's office. Reporting from Hollister, I'm Bree Sakalon, KSBW, Action News 8.
Thank you, Bree.
I mean, they want to talk about how it affects the water, forgetting that, you know, there's this place in Detroit that's got brown water that they ain't tried to change in years. Shouts out to them for not doing shit. You see what I'm saying? They like to complain about stuff we do, but then they don't do shit at the same point in time. Then they wonder why we making the moves. Oh, shouts out to my dude, Mr. Sess Crew. Y'all know to go check him out because, you know, one of my favorite rappers, local KC artist. Fuck with your boy.
Pick a strain, whatever you want, you can get. Indica sativa, never rolling plain Jane. I know some people, if you want, drive 50, we ain't gon' cop any. Little mama got plenty, so many strain, puffing the flame, nothing but dro. One for the brain, one for the body, one for the soul. Running with strange, keeping the party under control. Up, away, flying, how far are we gonna go? Smoke team in the building, got 'em, it's what the deal is. Recognize, coming with Burns, Felix with Filling County boy, got the liquor. Castle was on the fader, Stevie came with the greenery, mixing multiple flavors, whatever you want, homie. Tell me when to say when. How about you and your friends? Come get with me and my friends and keep it real with me, girl. I don't want to pretend like this is a new thing. Really, that's what it's been like.
All right, let me set the stage. So this is me. I'm a 30s father of 3, husband, entrepreneur, and gladly raising my family here on the beautiful island of Maui and the state of Hawaii. Hashtag Maui. So for the past decade, I've been growing just about every single plant you could think of, well, except for one. In every type of hydroponic, aeroponic, or fog-ponic garden. That's right, people. We're growing plants in fog now. And the one plant I never took a stab at is actually probably my favorite plant of them all. Of course, we're talking about cannabis.
So just like with every other video on this channel, the intention is for educational purposes. We do not condone any illegal activities, so make sure you know about your county, your state laws before you grow. Like I said, I live in Hawaii, where with my medical marijuana card, I can grow up to 10 plants. I think I'm gonna stick with just this one. That even becomes maybe more than I can handle.
He said, I'm gonna just do one. And then he knocks it out the fucking park. Shouts out to knocking them hits out the park.
My sprouter, and I'm gonna put them under a blue and UVA light bath.
That reminds me. Let's go back down memory lane. Shouts out to memory lane, because, you know, this is my video. If y'all don't like me going down memory lane with you, I don't know what you clicked on my video for. It says popcorn. You know, we're going to do a video review, but that's with popcorn, meaning you get me as part of the package. If you don't like package deals, I don't know what to tell you. You know, hit the like button on your way out. You see what I'm saying? That way, the next time you see a video, you'll forget that you didn't like it. But it happens. You know what I'm saying? But then they'll keep me in your algorithm because that's what the algorithm's about. It's about things you like to engage with. So don't like me and engage with me if you don't like or engage with me. But, you know, the people on Rumble ain't got to worry about that. That's for the YouTubers. Shouts out to YouTubing it up because y'all see we got the Mars Hydro 10 behind me. So they know we got something going on. My lights on because, you know, I fucked up my light schedule this week, but I'm going to reset it. I'm about ready to reset everything. I told y'all we got homework coming up. And I'm debating on when we're going to switch over to the homework playlist because, you know, we've been on the workbook for like, it seems like 10 years to be, but you know how it go with y'all. You know. If you don't know, hell, let's get you something growing on too. As the big homie say, fire in the hole, baby. Shouts out to my big homie Cooking with Love and More. Y'all know he was live this morning. Go check him out. If not, he'll probably be pulling up. Y'all see him in here. Y'all know how we do. We be networking 24/7 over here. You know what I mean? But anyways, yeah, you know, my first couple grows, I didn't make it through. Like the first 4 setups that I went through, all of them ended up dying. And then the first one I made it through, we finally made it. So you know how it be. If you don't, shit, I keep telling you, we can fix that for you. Get you some garden consultations. You know, you do be ready for you. You see what I'm saying? We got you some stuff to do. I might even give you an easy walkthrough for the first one. Like, yeah, these are already clones. Just come on in. Uh-oh, Six Bo says somebody done pissed her off. Well, good luck to them, because, you know, the last thing you want is an angry woman going on YouTube talking shit about you. She finna change somebody's life today. They might get canceled, or they just gonna have their life casually put on the back burner because, you know, ain't nobody gonna be fucking with them after that. You know how that shit go. Hey, sometimes you gotta check people. Hey, I tell people all the time, I'm a professional chess player. Okay, I check people all the damn time. Shouts out to have to check somebody myself this morning. But you know how that be. You got to keep it respectful. And if it goes into the disrespectful side, you got to be ready to handle that too. Because guess what we are? We're the judge, the jury, and the executioner. You see what I'm saying? If you don't want to judge people, then you ain't got to. But hell, when it's time to judge them and execute on said judgment, we're all about that life. Let me know if you need some backup. I ain't in St. Louis, but I might, you know, I might be over in there live whenever I make it over there. Yeah, Six Bell's gonna have me looking out for her live when I get done. Let me see what she talking about. Let me see. Let's see what this damn phone don't want to sit still because I've been moving it around. Let me quit moving stuff around and get back to the videos.
The blue light keeps things bushy and compact, while the UVA light actually makes it more resilient by assisting in the production of trichomes. It also helps with the terpene production, which is what's going to make this thing smell like my whole house. I love personally, but my mother-in-law's coming in a week, and
Mother-in-law don't like the smell of weed. Why'd you coming to my house? Mind your business, lady. What DMX tell her? Mind your business, lady. Oh, well, you know, just remind people to quit trying to tag you to get them views. Hell, ask for a collaboration. Then you'll get them views the right way.
hey, bro. Yo. Hey, man, I got a question for you.
Yeah, shoot. This is my boy Eric. He's been my best friend for over 20 years. During a lot of that time, he was growing in his basement in Colorado. Over the years, he's perfected growing cannabis, and the best buds that I've ever seen have come out of grows from his house. The only thing is, he doesn't grow in hydroponics. So he's gonna be my go-to guy for everything I need to know about how to grow the plant. Today, what I needed to ask him about was topping off my plant. So topping off is something I've done 1,000 times before. I do it with my herbs all the time. Here's me topping off a mint plant in my hydroponic garden. And what topping off does is it tells the plant to stop shooting straight up, and it branches off into a Y. So instead of having one main stem, now you have two stems, which is great for herbs and plants where you're trying to get as many leaves as you possibly can. You're trying to keep something from
Shout out to them leafy
straight up
greens.
and getting really tall, and instead you want to expand its growth widthwise. So I know I'm going to be topping this plant off at some time. I just need to know when. And Eric told me that the 6th node is generally the best time to go ahead and top off. So I counted and I'm at the 6th node. Let's do this.
What up, DJ is? The big homie. Y'all know to go check out them vibes daily. Hell. Speaking of this, Negro, I was over there looking today because, you know, I had to find me a beat to vibe to while we jamming today because you know how we do. You know how we do. But anyways, I was like, damn, this nigga halfway through 2026, meaning he's already completed most of his scheduled programming for 2025, and now he's throwing stuff together for 2026. Shouts out to whatever project he's on for that year because, you know, 2025 is going to be homework for me. I don't even know what 2026 is going to be. It might be the future. You know, we might actually have to do that and get back to some more workbook type of activities. I don't know yet, but we'll let you know what we doing on our side. But hell, I appreciate him for being that far ahead. My guy said, hell, I got lives and videos. I got videos and lives. I done made so many motherfucking beats. Hell, they gonna be tired of me in 50 years. But guess what? They all still gonna be beaten. Shout out to the big homie though. I appreciate that because that's be what I be talking about. He out there putting in that work. We're gonna have to get him a workbook 2026 because he's already got it, most of the answers in the back.
She's cozy in her new home. I still have the blue and UVA light on it. I built a completely unnecessary trellis. And now I need to check up with Eric about when I should flip to flowering. Couldn't use any of the audio from this clip because my garden is so loud with the air pumps. But what I asked him was basically my plant looks like if it doubled in size, then it would fill out the whole tent. Should I flip? And he says if my plant looks like it's going to double in size and it'll fill the whole tent, then I'm already in trouble. So I set my lights for 12 hours on, 12 hours off. I began to lean towards phosphorus and potassium with my nutrients, and I installed a completely necessary trellis as I began to push for flowering. I also traded in the blue lights for deep red lights. Okay, the red light? No, God, no. Is that even safe? I feel it burning me. Okay, I'll just talk fast. So red light is important for flowering because it's a highly photosynthetically active light wave. Carries a lot of radiation that's used and absorbed by chlorophyll for photosynthesis.
Shouts out to this guy for talking about the light science.
I woke up today to this. So I've been topping it off the past couple hours to try to bring it back. I can't top it all off at once or I'm drowned and probably die. So I'm just topping it off, trying to get it back up. That was pretty alarming. I had no idea I was so thirsty. This is a completely different plant than it was last week.
Hey, they do start drinking after they start flip to flower. That transition in the first couple of weeks is a beast because, like his homeboy recommended to him, if you don't know how it's gonna act when it flips over to flower because it's your first time growing that way, you in for a ride. What do you say? Hang on, lady, we going for a ride. And yeah, they will just start drinking abundantly because they're trying to produce a lot, so they're gonna go through some water. Normally, my buckets that when I fill them up, in veg, they never clear a bucket faster than veg. You see what I'm saying? So they'll basically have the same bucket most of the veg. And then by the time I'm getting ready to flip the flower, that's when I actually got to check my reservoirs on my buckets. But once they're in flower, yeah, I'm checking their water levels every week because they are drinking almost that bucket every week if they're growing good and things are going right. You see what I'm saying? So when things are going right, yeah, they are running through a lot of water. So shouts out to knowing that's how one good sign of things are going right, because you're going through water. So yeah, as far as keeping up with the water, you're gonna have to do that every couple of days. You should be checking because you want to see how fast they are drinking water. You don't want to be surprised because you was trying to relax. Because in veg, they can sit there for like a month and you didn't have to refill the bucket. The only thing you had to do was check pH. But then in flower, yeah, now they running through water and you got to recheck the pH.
When is it going to stop growing? But really though, honestly, I'm going to have to remove the top of the tent. It's getting too close to the light. It's getting too intense and I don't want it to burn. And look, buds. I think it stopped growing. It's over 7 feet tall now. It's above the ceiling fan. It's through the tent. It's up to the light, mounted directly to the ceiling. What the
Yeah, but you'll be all right. Just keep pushing. You bro, one monster ass plant though. Shout out to that.
Wow, guys.
Bros,
Wow.
gotta appreciate that.
Wow. I'm
what up, beat
speechless,
after a
guys.
beat?
This is the most beautiful thing I've ever grown.
We're gonna be kicking it with
Trichomes are
you.
beginning
What's
to
that?
create
Monday and
little buds
Tuesday.
here. I can start to see
Who
little
knows what? New
sugary
release
crystals.
Tuesdays and musical
This is
history Mondays or
absolutely
something like
insane.
that.
I had
Y'all
no
go check
idea
out
it
Beat
was
After
gonna
Beat.
be so big or have so many buds. This is crazy. So what I have in here now is my dehumidifier. I have a fan that's blowing some air up here. I have a fan that's blowing directly onto the bucket. I also have a fan at the top hitting the buds. And then I have the ceiling fan to make sure we have plenty of air moving through here for multiple reasons. We want to have nice, strong buds. We want to have nice, strong branches that can support our buds. So the moving air constantly helps with that. It also helps with transpiration, the movement of oxygen and carbon dioxide through our plants. It's also going to help prevent bud rot, and it's going to help prevent any mold that could happen in the middle. You want to have as much airflow as you possibly can. This is just a plant thing. This isn't even
Y'all know we're gonna
so
kick it with
I have
beat
tons
on
of fans in all my
Tuesday.
gardens.
Tacos.
And
Definitely on Taco
I had to
Tuesday.
turn like 50 fans off. It was kind of really annoying, but whatever, guys. Love you.
So I thought I would consult with the armchair experts over at Reddit. So I made a post and I asked them what they thought I might get from this plant dry. And here's what they said. So what this guy says he gets 2 pounds, but he didn't answer my question. So that's nice. Looks like it's about to get out of hand. So that's fun. This guy said a pound. There's no way. A pound? Are you serious, dude? A pound? You could easily get a pound out of that plant. If the buds get heavy enough, you might want to think about adding a second trellis, maybe even a third. You should get around a pound dry. I just had a little smaller one drop 14 ounces dry. He put a picture up on that one. I'll put it on the screen, but he attached a picture with that one. A pound? You guys, is that for real?
Call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on.
Gotta support them ladies sometimes. But hell, like you said, if you get them stocks with that stock thickness, them motherfuckers will hold their own self up. Especially in a situation like that where you ain't gotta even move nothing around. So the plant will basically hold itself together. If y'all notice, I don't run too many trellis nests myself, but you know, Yeah, no, sometimes you do need something for help, and then you throw one in there.
Trichomes are a plant's natural defense to ultraviolet light. They grow out of the stems and the leaves to protect the plant from burning from ultraviolet radiation in the higher wavelengths. When it comes to cannabis cultivation, not only do trichomes make your plant super sticky, but they also tell you when it's time to harvest. They start off crystal clear, and then they turn more milky white, and then they turn an amber brown. So the perfect time to harvest, if you're looking for that optimal THC, is when they are milky white. So now's a good time to start paying very, very close attention to your cannabis plant.
Oh, so see, he agrees with me when they go smoky, as we say, it's time to smoke. You know what I'm saying? Anything beyond that is good for if you like the amber effects, but generally the effects that I'm looking for come from the smoky trichomes. You see these beautiful things just sitting here on the screen? What up, Ricky? Wow. Who is that? Squirrel Sniper? What is up, squirrels? Appreciate you for coming through. Yeah. Uh-oh, the big homie Scully pop in the building. Y'all know to go check out Scully. He gonna be reading tonight, I'm pretty sure, because it's Sunday, and I'm definitely ready to vibe with him. You know, it's been a couple days since I seen him, whether I was busy or not, because, you know, I've been busy myself this week. So I don't even know if he posted, because I wasn't posted up watching. But hey, I'm ready to go tonight if he on tonight. Hell, pretty sure he's got some more of that what's his Scully and Wonderland stuff he got going on. His new shit is dope though. I'm appreciating it though. You know what I'm saying? High right now, so you know how it go. You know how it go. He said 8 p.m. Central. See, he already ready to go. He's like, yep, that's my turn. 8 p.m. tonight, bud. We'll be over there, Scully. We'll be dropping the membership emojis. We ain't got them over here because we monetized on Buy Me a Coffee over here. But you know, on Buy Me a Coffee, you can put whatever emoji you want in there. Shit. Look at these trichomes. They look good. And I'm glad he said he liked his smoky, because that's somebody that agrees with me. Besides creative, because creative and me have the discussion too. He's like, I like mine just smoky. Amber's a good effect, but smoky, I can keep smoking.
I'll check back. This is bud rot. This means I likely have mold or mildew in my buds. So I'm gonna cut and check all the tops. I was gonna harvest them anyway, but let's see if I can even use them.
He got hit with some bud rot. That sucks.
Let's check another top. I gotta harvest it all. After 3 days of drying, the stems were nice and crispy, so I threw all the buds in jars and got ready for the cure and weighed them up.
So his good, big, fat, juicy tops got bud rot, but then the rest was all right. You see, he didn't lose the whole harvest. He lost part of it, God damn it. But let's see what he gets.
Okay, so everything weighed together before the final curing, I ended up with 15.5 ounces. just 1/2 ounce shy of a pound. Now this is before curing, and I looked online. They said with curing, you can expect to lose about 5% of your total mass, which will put me right around 14 ounces. So not quite a pound. I have a feeling if I would have let it go for the entire duration, I would have had a pound, but that bud rot, that mold just kept me from doing that. We'll have to try again next time and see if we can get the 1 pound plant. But 14 ounces, I'm very happy with that. That is an incredible amount of cannabis from one plant. I ended up losing about 2 ounces total to the mold. I separated all the moldy tops and the buds and put them in a different jar. I'm curing those out anyway because I might be able to process them or cut around the mold. I'm not sure. I might get really desperate one day when I run out and just like cut around any parts that have mold on them. I don't know. This probably won't go in the video. So now I want to go over some things that I learned with you guys during this grow. Okay, so it was my first grow. There was plenty of errors and a lot of things that I learned. So let me tell you just the main ones here that I can touch on for you. So I needed to either top off my plant more, I needed to do more of a training method like mainlining it, or switch to flower earlier to keep it from growing so tall.
I'm down for that type of vibe on a Tuesday.
That's what ended up leading to my bud rot. Because half of the tops were hanging outside of the tent.
I'll go to hell with you, bro. Let's ride.
Fire just couldn't keep up at that point. So that created a huge problem. And if I would have kept my plant from outgrowing the tent in the first place by either topping it off more, keeping it smaller and more compact, then that would have happened to me. I also learned, as we saw in the first video, that around week 3 flowering, the plant gets a lot more thirsty. You're going to need to pay attention to topping it off a lot more around that time. It's going to start to need like daily maintenance around week 3 flowering. At least it did for me. I've never dealt with a plant that requires such strict humidity for a finished product to not be messed up. It really is much more serious than I thought. I set it to 60% humidity because that's what I could maintain without having an air conditioner in here. Otherwise, it was getting too hot, and then I would have had other issues like root rot. So I could maintain 60% humidity at about 82, 83 degrees. In hindsight, and for my next grow, I'm going to get an air conditioner so that I can maintain a lower humidity and also a lower temperature in the room. That's one of the huge issues I ran into, and that led to bud rot also. And lastly, since I didn't have a control, there's no real way for me to tell you if the UVA and the deep red lights had much of an effect on this plant. So I'm going to do another grow side by side, one with just a standard LED grow light and one with a super custom wavelength LED grow light that's going to have, you know, UVA and deep red at all the right time during the growth. So we're going to see if optimizing it in this way.
Shout out to 9 people watching on Rumble. Appreciate that.
I did enjoy this cannabis series. I loved making it, and I think I'm going to be enjoying it for the next year or so. So let's grow together, guys.
Yeah, there's a recent Rumble link for y'all to get over there too. You know, I prefer the people that prefer watching the content. View it on Rumble because that'll be better for y'all. Because, you know, meet me on YouTube. Come on home. Because we easily monetized on Rumble for now. Although, you know, they pay less than YouTube. But, hey, a deal's a deal, right? You know, you're going to log in with your boys, watch them on Rumble.
In the bustling city of Nutriville,
I mean, YouTube's cool if y'all over here clicking, but always remember to cross communicate with multiple platforms. Shout out to Bobby and Coffee. Y'all know that's pinned up there.
Power of nutrition, one delicious bite at a time. Meet Chef Larkita Marie, the culinary mastermind behind the Superfood Parents Playbook. With boundless enthusiasm, she welcomes you to embark on a thrilling journey to becoming a true superfood hero. But what exactly does that mean? In Nutriville, superfood parents are everyday heroes. These superfood parents lead the charge for better health, but not with capes. They lead with carrots and whole food fats like avocados. And instead of masks, they lead with mangoes and berries. Fruits and vegetables are the disease-destroying arsenal of heroes. Are you a disease-destroyer superhero for your loved ones? Fruits and veggies fuel the mission of heroes like Veggie Vixen. Are you a Veggie Vixen for your loved ones? Dedicated to ensuring their loved ones thrive on a diet rich in faves, fruits, and vegetables. Here's your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to guide your family to superhero status by reaching the highest levels of health and wellness daily. Become a plant-powered titan.
What up, big homie Bear? Y'all know to go check out the grow room over there. I have a KC Garden expert coming up in the game. I might have collab with him here in a minute, you know what I'm saying? I have to collab with Bear. You know, I don't like not collabing with niggas. Shout out to SOS. Y'all know to go check him out. See, I knew he changed his name. It says SOS Death Pilot now. You see what I'm saying? Go check him out. I'll be growing some more of his genetics sent to me by Big Brother Bear, you know, son of Odin Seed Company. We back running genetics from everywhere, dude. So I hit the wrong button. I'm supposed to be drawing my brother's live. For some reason, I went to go to the channel. But you know, you in there now, bro. Make sure you get everybody you need to meet in their chat. Because, you know, we got Scully Pasta in the house. Shout out to DJ Years in the building too. Do that detail. Y'all know we can do. Shout out to the 9 people on Rumble. No, it's 10 people on Rumble now. Shout out to the Run Bells. Oh my God, there's a campaign for the real world. Says I only need 10 and I got 10, but it ain't showing up right. It'll get right one of these days. I'll figure out how to campaign appropriately. But in the meantime, yeah, that's a missed opportunity. Okay, I see what type of vibe I was on this morning. Yeah, shout out to that. So that boy be picking them fire beats every time he goes through there. Just to clear out my weed tray. So I gotta roll these blunts to my fucking hands. And then I have my weed tray back in session. I don't like the fact that I got it occupied with other people's property in my real estate. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to roll me some blunts, not other people's blunts. But, you know, that goes to the family. Gotta take care of them old people, right? They ain't gonna roll their own goddamn blunts. Which, you figure they got more time than I do. Hell, I'm retired. Why ain't you rolling your own blunts then, nigga? Sound like you working me. To me. Yeah, y'all see that? That says Vibes Collection Volume 32, nigga. Volume 32. He got 2 different YouTube channels. You gotta link up with them both now. You see what I'm saying? Because you might miss this one, because this one's like not the primary Vibes channel. You see what I'm saying? So you gotta be on both of them. VOFFUM. Both of them. Yeah, see? I did that video. It's a short. It's got 2 Asian chicks. Both of them. Hell, why would I pick one? What Chris Tucker say when he was at the Chinese buffet? What, you think I'm only gonna get one? Hey, it's a buffet, man. I want them all. I'm gonna just start off with these 3, then I'm coming back for the rest. Never ever rush a black man at a buffet.
Even crazier drugs that you've never heard of.
Oh shit. Y'all see the
A couple
disclaimers.
weeks ago, I decided to compile a list of the weirdest, most obscure, and most unheard of drugs on the infinitely deep iceberg known as the internet. That video's list was only 5 drugs long, but honestly, 5 drugs doesn't even scratch the surface of this monstrous iceberg. So today, I'm here to bring you the much anticipated part 2. If you haven't watched part 1, don't worry, you can watch it after this video. It's a great video, but it's not a requirement to watch this video. As I did say in the last video, these videos are a product of me venturing down hundreds of rabbit holes on the craziest drug forums and websites I could find. Regardless, the wait is finally over. Let's get right into the list. Number 1. EA3167. No, not EA Sports. It's in the game. EA3167. Close though. What happens when you create some type of mad scientist coalition of some of the best chemical engineers and scientists in the world, paired with billions of dollars in backing from the United States military budget? Well, you get a chemical weapon that's so brutal even Darth Sidious would be impressed. This wartime designer drug, and I'm not even exaggerating, might be the most extreme non-lethal drug I've ever heard of. In all honesty, this atrocity of a chemical is so ungodly and just plain eerie that it's inconceivable to me why this has even been created in the first place. Like, I can't even understand who would bother imagining such an unnecessary extreme compound to begin with. First, let's begin with some context. EA3167 is what would be known as a deliriant. If you've ever seen a YouTube video on what it's like to take too much Benadryl, such as seeing shadow people and spiders everywhere, forgetting everyone you know and not remembering how to read anymore, having hallucinations that you can't differentiate from real life, and sometimes forgetting language entirely, the effects of these large Benadryl doses happen because it's a deliriant drug. In general, Benadryl is effective at treating allergies, fever, and flu-like symptoms. But as many of you know, in high doses, Benadryl starts to get super unpleasant, to put it mildly. This is because in high doses, Benadryl is what they call an anticholinergic. Or, in non-nerd terms, it makes your memory about 80 times worse than Joe Biden's. Right, but why is Benadryl anticholinergic? Well, because it's old.
Oh shit, Sleepy Joe got assassinated right there. Trump ain't the only one taking shots these days.
I'm guessing when scientists discovered it, they were too caught up with all of the stuff that it cured to think about the fact that it crossed the blood-brain barrier to begin with. They were probably like, why does that matter? It's not like anybody over the age of 8 is going to take a bunch of allergy pills to get high off of. Actually, that's exactly what happened. But like I said, old antihistamines such as Benadryl and other designer deliriants like EA3167 happen to cross the blood-brain barrier, which blocks your brain's ability to use acetylcholine, which is really bad. That's because acetylcholine helps regulate things like sleep, wakefulness, memory, and focus. So basically, getting exposed makes you feel like you're literally going insane. And from everybody else's perspective, you just look like an idiot. You'll try to walk into doors that aren't there, talk to invisible people that aren't even around you, run from invisible spiders and shadow people, and most likely try to use your computer, forget your password, and get so pissed off that you punch the imaginary spider on your screen. However, let me be clear, Benadryl is not fun to abuse. Most people that try to use it in high doses recreationally end up being traumatized at some point, and long-term abuse can lead to early dementia. If you don't believe me, watch a couple Benadryl trip reports on YouTube and come to your own conclusion. Now that we have a better understanding, let's talk about EA3167, the drug in question for this list. In the 1960s, the US government had a new goal, and that was to make bioweapons that didn't necessarily kill people, but incapacitated them for days. This program was known as the US Military Chemical Weapons Program, and one interesting result of this program was a contract with Edgewood Arsenal, who eventually developed the psychological war crime of a drug. EA316 has the exact same effects as 3-QNB, but it lasts way longer. And unlike 3-QNB, which was just accidentally discovered, EA3167 was purposely developed and designed to be terrifying. In both of these drugs, the effect is simple. It incapacitates your brain's ability to use acetylcholine, which, like I said earlier, is essential for memory and not going insane. If somebody wants to get you to do this stuff, they probably will. It's a white, crystalline, odorless powder, completely soluble in most liquids, including water, and has delayed symptoms several hours after contact. It also has a half-life of 3 to 4 weeks in moist air, which means that your enemy could spike your food with it and wait weeks until you eat it. It also lasts a really long time in soil. If you happen to get drugged with this stuff, you're basically going to lose your mind. According to official sources, common symptoms include both, quote, psychological and physiological effects, with the most incapacitating effects being the state of delirium characterized by cognitive dysfunction, hallucinations, and the inability to perform basic tasks. What's crazy about 3-QNB is that the US military designed a specific cluster bomb called the M44 generator cluster, which basically sent a bunch of flying gas canisters down on your enemy, creating a visible white cloud of doom. And if you got caught in it, you would become incapacitated anywhere from a couple hours to a couple of days. But that was just phase 1 of this drug. The final supervillain form of this drug, EA3167, was basically what you would call super Benadryl, because if Benadryl turns you into a vegetable, this stuff turns you into bedrock. Ingesting a tiny amount will give you a bad Benadryl-like trip, but only requires 0.2 milligrams for an average weight person, and it lasts anywhere from 5 to 10 days, with many users saying they need it 20 days to fully recover. So basically, it's akin to a 10 to 20 day long Benadryl overdose. Or in other words, it's actually like going clinically insane for at least 10 days, not remembering how to speak, how to walk, how to read, what the layout of your house was, or anything else really. Considering military leaders were planning on drugging enemies with the stuff from a handshake, if you were incapacitated by EA 3167, you would probably believe that you had permanently lost your mind. And the worst part is, you would have no idea what was wrong with you. Also, because acetylcholine is the most important neurotransmitter for REM sleep, your brain would get very confused and no longer be able to tell the difference between reality and dream. In fact, this is why your hallucinations are so strong on anticholinergic drugs. They simply put your brain into a REM-like sleep state while you're still awake. So what you see and what's actually real become indistinguishable in the worst ways possible. And because of this, in my opinion, that's what makes this one of the cruelest chemical warfare drugs ever invented. But wait, it gets worse. Because for some cruel reason, the US military thought it was a bright idea to test this drug on human subjects. And sadly, some people simply never recovered from the terror of losing their ever-loving mind for 10 to 20 days. For example, one source states, quote, even 6 months after exposure, a few subjects demonstrated significant increases in the scores of depression, hysteria, schizophrenia, and mania scales. In other words, if you got drugged with this stuff, it's a pretty good chance that you'll never be the same. And even worse is you might permanently lose your mind. Number 2. Galantamine. This drug is deep on the drug iceberg, but not because of how obscure it is. In fact, some people already know about galantamine because it is often used to treat Alzheimer's. But what not everybody knows is what niche internet communities use it for, which I'll be getting into. But first, let's talk about how galantamine works. Remember the chemical weapon we were just talking about? Well, this chemical is actually the exact opposite. Galantamine is what you would call a cholinergic drug, which basically means that it increases acetylcholine in your brain, which in turn improves your memory, wakefulness, and focus. So unlike anticholinergics, it makes you the opposite of a vegetable. So, a fruit. This is really helpful for people with Alzheimer's, but it also has another even crazier use. Like I mentioned earlier, acetylcholine is a super important neurotransmitter for REM sleep. Well, because of the effects these drugs have on your cholinergic system, Benadryl makes you asleep when you're awake. And by asleep, I mean a waking nightmare. But cholinergic drugs like galantamine make you awake when you're asleep. And because of this quality, people on the internet have figured out that if you go to sleep and then set an alarm 4 to 6 hours after you fall asleep to catch yourself in the middle of a REM cycle, take 4 to 8 milligrams of galantamine and then quickly go back to sleep before the galantamine kicks in, the galantamine will take effect on your brain while you're in the dream, which will give you about a 50% higher chance of lucid dreaming. And if you don't know what lucid dreaming is, it's basically realizing that you're in a dream and pretty much doing whatever you want, like flying, gaining superpowers, or even walking around the corner and hoping that your brain will make your celebrity crush appear. And considering it makes your memory and focus better, most people that have tried this method for lucid dreaming say that the galantamine makes their dreams feel like they're dreaming in 4K. Basically, used during the daytime, galantamine is a mild limitless pill, and used during the nighttime, it's like the red pill from the Matrix. Interestingly, this chemical being used for lucid dreaming has also been studied, and one study called, quote, pre-sleep treatment with galantamine stimulates lucid dreaming, concludes that, quote, the percentage of participants who reported a lucid dream was significantly increased for both 4 milligrams and 8 milligram doses of galantamine. But this isn't really deep enough for a video titled 5 Crazy Drugs You've Never Heard of. So I want to go a level deeper. There are actually people who take specifically designed stacks of nootropics, which are basically just legal supplements that affect your brain's functionality, in order to get the clearest, most vivid, and long-lasting dreams imaginable. I honestly don't know what to call these people, because they're not exactly psychonauts, right? But at the same time, they're still using drugs to explore the deepest depths of their subconscious. So I guess they're somewhere in between. According to some of these shaman-like dream gurus who I've talked to, apparently one of the wildest activities to do in a lucid dream isn't any of the crazy stuff you would imagine, like fighting your mortal enemy with superpowers, shape-shifting, or flying. Apparently, it's just meditating. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but these people have told me that the most fascinating thing to do in a dream once you realize that you're dreaming is to just stop and observe it. They look at the people passing by, they read a newspaper, and they listen to the random characters in their dreams having in-depth conversation. According to them, the state of awareness that they are in during these lucid dreams is more than the awareness they experience in their waking life. Colors are bright and vivid, like how they used to look when we were kids. And every other sense, such as smell, touch, and taste, is in HD. Some people theorize that this is because the brain experiences different brain waves or states of consciousness in different phases of sleep. For example, REM sleep is the state in which you dream. So basically, being aware in a dream is different from being aware in real life, because once you become aware in your dream, your mind is already at a super low state of consciousness, which would typically take years of practice to achieve regularly. In fact, many cultures throughout history have practiced this dream enhancement with various substances long before galantamine was ever invented. For example, Tibetan monks have been practicing dream yoga as a meditation technique for hundreds of years. Similarly, African tribes have used something called the African dream route to induce lucid dreams as well. Finally, one user on a popular lucid dreaming forum wrote about what it was like to use galantamine, in which he states, quote, "I set my alarm for 6 hours after I was going to wake up when I went to sleep. When I woke up, I took 4 milligrams of galantamine pills and 2 choline pills, downed some water, and went right back to sleep. After some time of tossing and turning, I decided to fall asleep on my stomach, like I usually do. And just as I was falling asleep, I suddenly felt pressure on my body, like someone put a very heavy blanket over me. I'm pretty sure this was sleep paralysis. Usually at this point, I have a hard time staying awake. But because the galantamine kicked in just in time, I felt vibrant and awake, even though my body was now asleep. I stayed in my bed, simply observing this feeling. And then, in an instant, I suddenly realized my body had drifted out of my real-life body. This is probably the coolest sensation I've ever experienced. Suddenly, anything I imagined was perfectly visible, as if I were looking at a 3D TV screen. Then, I imagined my fingers touching a familiar texture, and suddenly I was looking down and my hands were touching the object I had just imagined, and an expansive town constructed itself around me. Somehow, everything I could see, hear, smell, and touch was more vivid than I remembered in my life. And upon my first attempt at flying, I was flying around this new city. I specifically remember a point where I was close to a cloud, looking at the city, and I was just staring in disbelief at how realistic and accurate my dream was looking and feeling. I could feel the wind from flying, and everything I touched had an accurate texture. What's more is that any music I imagined synthesized right in my dream. For a moment, I felt like Hans Zimmer, orchestrating an entire original composition that sounded even better and more out of this world than anything I've ever heard in my life. What felt like 2 hours for me exploring the city went by, and at a certain time I began to get worried. It felt like my brain had notified me that I should have woken up by now. But I remembered that the galantamine was probably causing a dream lasting longer than it would naturally. Shortly after this, I promptly woke up, and I looked at my clock, and only 30 minutes had gone by. That was the longest dream I've ever had. Because I wanted to mix things up, this is one of the only drugs on the list that isn't necessarily an instant death and horror drug. It's a bit different. But with that being said, I do not in any way, shape, or form condone using Alzheimer's drugs recreationally. But the science and story behind it is interesting. But if you want to elevate your senses without having to set an alarm for 4 in the morning, today's sponsor, 5CBD, is perfect for you. There are a lot of different ways to use THC. Smoking, dabs, the Benjamin, but all of them have shortcomings. Either they taste bad, aren't discreet, or, worst of all, you have to keep hitting them every 45 minutes or so to keep the good vibes going. OG Kush is great, but it has hundreds of cannabinoids hitting you all at once. With 5CBD products, you can choose which specific cannabinoid effect you want. For example, their gummies have 50 milligrams of CBD, 10 milligrams of THC, and a special cannabinoid that changes based on what you're looking for. Their Surge gummies are perfect if you want energy, thanks to the sativa. Their Vibes gummy has CBG to keep you awake but relaxed. And their Chill gummies have CBN, which is more of an indica to keep you relaxed and help you sleep. Additionally, you'll never have to inhale any smoke. And unlike the Benjamin, 5CBD products last upwards of 3 days, which makes it perfect for a Friday night or Sunday afternoon. And if you live in a strict state, don't worry, because even the wildest 5CBD products are shippable to all 50 states nationwide. So if you want to chill legally in your state, use my link in the description to get gummies.
Now, for those who don't remember, he did just say they're available in all 50 states because guess what? You can't stop him from going where it's going. Shouts out to the federal program established in 2018. Yeah, re-update that. You see what I'm saying? Keep that going because we mail it everywhere.
For free, just cover shipping. And yes, customers must be 21 and over to purchase. Use my link in the description to get your first gummies absolutely free when you cover shipping. Thank you so much to 5 for sponsoring this video. Number 3. Flubromazolam. For the sake of simplicity, we'll just call this drug Flubro. This drug falls under a category of drugs known as triazolobenzodiazepines, which is pretty much just a fancy word for research chemical benzos. And at that, it's one of the strongest benzodiazepines in the world. What's crazy is that it has a half-life of 50 to 20 hours, which means that if someone using this drug takes even a tiny bit too much, they're pretty much guaranteed to spend the next day or two blacked out. And I'm not talking about blacked out as in sleepwalking around like a confused Xanfi not remembering anything you did yesterday. I'm talking about going into a straight up hibernation for 48 hours. And in fact, now that I think about it, a good way to put this drug would be Xanax on steroids. Research chemicals are so strong that most of the time, even the most seasoned research chemical enthusiasts steer far away from this stuff. To give you some perspective on how crazy this drug is, I want to talk about how extreme regular benzos are. One good example of this is a Joe Rogan episode where Jordan Peterson explains how severe his benzo addiction was. He recounts how his doctor prescribed him Xanax in 2019 because he couldn't sleep. He started taking them without thinking too much about it. Then, in 2022, he attempted to get off of them for the first time, which caused him neurological damage and gave him severe withdrawals. In this episode, Joe Rogan also talks about how a doctor told him that Xanax was one of the hardest drugs to get off of, and how it can turn an everyday person into a severely dependent addict in a matter of weeks. Joe also goes on to tell him about another doctor that told him that there are only 2 drugs that can kill you if you get off of them. Those being alcohol and benzodiazepines. It's crazy to think that these drugs can literally kill you if you stop taking them. Regardless, after Dr. Peterson undertook months of unsuccessful treatment in American hospitals in an attempt to slowly wean himself off the drug, he finally had to go to a hospital in Russia and undergo a medically induced coma for 8 days just to deal with the withdrawals of Xanax. When talking about Xanax withdrawal, Peterson says trying to get off of them was the lowest point in his life. So just to put this all into perspective, let me present you with one user I found on a popular Swedish drug forum who talks about how Flubro withdrawal is at least 10 times worse than Xanax. He states that, quote, in just 1 week on these, at 1 tablet a day, I got the strongest withdrawals imaginable. If you thought Xanax was bad, Flubro is at least 10 times worse. So if you think quitting nicotine is hard, imagine a withdrawal that's 10 times worse than one that required an 8-day coma to escape from. Users on this forum also go on to describe the withdrawals in more detail. Quote, when you're withdrawing from Flubro, you can just forget about sleep if you don't have any other strong medicines. I had to get more Flubro again after being sleepless for 3 nights. The worst part was my body and mind felt exhausted, like I wanted to sleep, but it just felt like something was wrong, like preventing me from falling asleep. This user then states, quote, I've been on benzos for 15 years, but 1 week of Flubro is literally costing me my life. This substance is absolutely not to be played with. Then another user commented, quote, I've been on benzos for 10 years. I got such an extreme withdrawal from these that I was borderline psychotic. The withdrawals were so bad that ever since that withdrawal, I decided to stop taking benzos forever, and I'm currently tapering off them now. We all know Xanax addiction can make you spend months of your life essentially blacked out, not remembering anything. But because of Flubro's ridiculously long half-life, month-long blackouts on this drug are on a completely different level. To demonstrate what I mean, on a benzo drug forum, one user states, quote, Flubro blacked me out for literally months at a time. As a user, you know all of the consequences that come with benzos, getting fired, crashing your car, and spending money that you don't have. Now, crank that up exponentially, and you know the withdrawals you get? Those get cranked up too. I tried to withdraw at home, and I endured 2 weeks of wasting away before my mind snapped and I went into a full-blown psychosis and woke up in detox. I am not messing around with you when I say that this will ruin your life. And I'm not your mother, so I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm just telling you what's going to happen. It's turning yourself into an evil zombie and pain will follow. So yeah, benzos alone are scary enough, but these research benzos are on a different level of terrifying. Number 4. MPTP. In my last video, we talked about 4-CMA, which infamously kills your serotonin neurons. Well, in this video, we're going to talk about another neurotoxic drug that's possibly worse, MPTP. Like many of the chemicals on this list, this is a research chemical, which means that it was developed in a lab and doesn't have enough historic testing and research to be considered reliable or safe. What's interesting about MPTP is that it's usually created as an accidental byproduct when trying to synthesize another research chemical known as MPPP. In 1976, a 23-year-old chemistry graduate named Barry Kidston was doing just that. Because MPPP gave similar effects to morphine, Kidston was producing it in a lab for personal consumption. What nobody knew at the time, however, was that when you synthesize MPPP, it comes with the risk of being contaminated by MPTP as a byproduct. Interestingly, MPTP isn't neurotoxic on its own, but it is the chemical precursor to MPP+. Once MPTP enters your blood-brain barrier, your brain turns it into MPP+, which is a potent neurotoxin that is guaranteed to kill your dopamine neurons permanently. So, without knowing any of this, Barry Kidston synthesized his MPPP in a lab, and when he was ready, he injected it into himself. Sources say that within 3 days, Barry had developed Parkinson's. He was treated with another dopamine precursor known as L-Dopa, but unfortunately he died from a cocaine overdose just a year later. Some people speculate that Kidston might have been taking cocaine to self-medicate his Parkinson's. What's scary is this isn't the only case of this happening. For example, in 1983, quote, 4 people in Santa Clara County, California, United States, were diagnosed with Parkinson's after having used MPPP contaminated with MPTP, and as many as 120 more were reported to have been diagnosed with Parkinson's symptoms. All in all, this is a terrible drug, and just like 4-CMA, It was never really intended to be taken, but it still ended up being accidentally consumed anyway. Honestly, I can't decide whether destroying your dopamine-producing neurons or your serotonin-producing neurons is worse. But either way, taking MPPP is a horrible idea considering the risk that it will turn into MPTP, and from that will almost guarantee you get Parkinson's. Not many drugs that I've found have such strong, lifelong effects. I don't think I need to go into much more detail about what makes this chemical absolutely terrifying. No matter what you do, never even think about touching 4-CMA, PTP, or MPPP, or any research chemical. Anything at all. Don't even drink water. At this point, I'm basically terrified of everything because these drugs are insane. But we still have one more, and it's the craziest I've touched on by far. But quickly, before we get to this last drug, I do have a confession. In the process for researching for this video, I found a lot of other drugs I wanted to discuss that just wouldn't fit in this video. And I know this was only supposed to be a part 2, and it's going to be a 2-video series, and that's it. But seeming as you guys really enjoy this video, I thought I would leave it up to you. If you want to see a part 3, let me know. Leave a like, and if we get to 50,000 likes, we'll drop a part 3. Admittedly, these videos are risky for YouTube, but you guys do love them, so if I can entertain you guys, to me, it's worth the risk. Now, let's finish this video strong with this absolutely diabolical particle. Number 5. DPT. DPT is a drug that is generally just a bad deal to agree to. If you happen to have a good trip, most trip reports will just say it will be alright. But if you happen to have a bad trip, which is more of a rule than an exception with this chemical, most people agree that it's the worst psychedelic experience they've ever had. In the last drug video, part 1, I said that 5-MeO-DMT was basically DMT's mysterious grandfather. And that's true. But what I didn't tell you is that 5-MeO-DMT was just scratching the surface of DMT analogs. And this form of DMT, DPT, is more akin to the ghost that haunts DMT's mysterious grandfather. This is the next level down the DMT iceberg that not everyone knows about. Now, let's make one thing clear. DPT is not natural. It has never been found in any toad venom, any tree bark, or anywhere in the known universe thus far. And in my opinion, God was probably face-palming hard when he saw humans first make this stuff. That's probably because if you take a high enough dose, your trip can last up to 12 hours. You see, when you make a psychedelic drug in a lab, and it's nowhere to be found in nature, all of those hippie arguments of, it's just a plant, bro, made by the guy who looks like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo wearing a weed-scented tie-dye carpet he bought at the Dollar General, just goes out the window. Another interesting fact about this cursed drug is that an entire cult was created around it. I'm serious. If we're being honest, you know the drug is insane when people think this drug is God. And I'm not joking, that's literally what happened. This cult is called the Temple of the True Inner Light. And the actual temple is unsurprisingly based in New York City. And if you think this sounds like some type of crazy science fiction plot, you wouldn't be wrong. It's weird because everyone talks about Scientology in LA, but somehow an NYC cult temple that worships a synthesized research chemical variant of DMT that can't even be found in nature just slips under the radar. Anyways, on their website, which is kind of hard to find, they go into detail about what they actually believe. Quote, "It is our belief that the origin of religion and spiritual awakening is the ingestion of psychedelics. In other words, the original followers of every true religion, such as Buddhism, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, believe that psychedelics are the embodiment of God. This was and is the God of the ancient prophets and messengers. And this is the light spoken of in scriptures and sacred texts. What's even crazier is that they smoke DPT in oil form, and they even have their own religious text referring to their God as oil. For example, on their website, they have one of their own scriptures that says, quote, I'm writing to you about those who would deceive you, but the oil you received from him remains within you, and you really need no teaching from anyone. Simply remain in him. For this oil teaches you about everything, and is true, and is no lie. Remain in him, as his oil has taught you to do." Needless to say, I wonder if this cult would accept Joe Rogan into it. I know we've talked about Joe Rogan a lot, but here's Joe Rogan entering this cult for the first time. "Welcome, brother. We have awaited you."
Jamie, pull up that video of that bear smoking DMT. Also, pull up a Trust Me Bro video, please.
And that's totally real and definitely happened. Another weird thing about the temple's website is that they just take passages from the Bible and then just kind of add stuff to it. For example, their website features, quote, 1 St. John's 2:26. But I don't really know what saint is supposed to mean in this instance. Also, what their website says is notably different from the original scripture, with the original scripture saying, I'm writing these things to you about those who are trying to make you astray. And this website's version of scripture is, quote, salvation does not come from the darkness, alcohol, cocaine, morphine,
Y'all
dishonesty,
know to go check out
violence.
G
Our
Mama Bros
Eucharist is
backup
DPT,
channel
a
or
very
her
powerful
next
angel of a
channel.
host.
You never know with
Closely
us because we
related
got
to
a couple
psilocybin.
of
In my opinion,
them.
the biggest
Shouts out
problem
to
with this
Spider
cult's
Pig.
claims is that
You know what I'm saying? We
DPT
had Super
doesn't even
Saturday them
occur in
yesterday.
nature,
Go check
and
that
it
out.
also fails to be molecularly similar to psilocybin like they claimed in that verse. Alright, enough about the cult, which to me is one of the most insane parts about this drug, but what is the drug itself actually like? Well, the general consensus on the internet is that this drug is just, for lack of better words, eerie. And it's also one of the first drugs I've ever found that even experienced psychedelic users have been wary of. So, in other words, using this drug would feel exactly like how you would expect using a cult drug to feel like, with many users reporting dark spiritual experiences being associated with this chemical. For example, one Reddit post I found on the substance goes into detail about why it was the worst trip they ever had. This Redditor started by saying, quote, "So the other day I broke out some DPT and took around 50 milligrams. I have plenty of psychedelic experience consisting of high doses of the following: DMT, LSD, mushrooms, MDA, DMX, 4-HOMET, and some other things I'm sure I've forgotten. But even my worst trips don't even touch DPT. Nothing gets close to what I just experienced, and it was possibly the worst psychedelic experience I've ever had." He then goes on to say, quote, "This is the weirdest, eeriest, and strangest, most intense chemical I have ever ingested. At first, it felt pretty good, and the visuals were quite enjoyable. But about 15 minutes after dosing, something became very off. It felt as if something had entered my body and I was no longer in control whatsoever. But in a different way than DMT. I didn't even feel that intoxicated, which was the weird and scary part. I just felt a complete loss of control." Then comes the craziest part, in my opinion. They go on to say, quote, "I had an extreme eerie feeling along with extreme disassociation and possibly even slight psychosis-like symptoms. This feels like a direct pathway to communications with evil spirits. Many people who follow the philosophy of naturalism believe that designer drugs are a connection to evil spirits because they aren't naturally occurring, and thus weren't meant for human conception. I know this is a bit off topic, but I thought it was an interesting concept to keep in mind for this specifically." The Redditor goes on to say, quote, "The next night I also had extremely vivid, terrifying nightmares and sleep paralysis. During sleep paralysis, a tall, black entity had quite literally tormented me until I fell back into my dream, then continued to do so in my nightmare. I usually do not have experiences like this, and I also never have had sleep paralysis." And if you found that story creepy, the comments aren't any more comforting, with one user commenting, quote, "Some people are sensitive to spiritual attacks. In this materialistic, spiritually closed-minded civilization we live in, everything is just reduced to chemicals, states of mind, or psychologicalized, or written off in another way. The spiritual world is just non-existent under that frame." And finally, one last claim I found about DPT was the following, quote, "I've been taking DPT and it makes me feel possessed in a way, almost like I'm the creepy dude in Hereditary. That sort of thing, I suppose. Just like I'm channeling something very intense that transcends humanity." All of the drugs on this list are insane, and I don't think any more detail is required on why. And for all of the people who commented on the first video that they wanted to try them, don't. And if you want to try anything, remember to try today's sponsor, link in the description. Those gummies are legal and actually pleasant. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you did enjoy this video and want me to continue the craziest drug series, please leave a like and comment below. And who knows, maybe part 3 isn't so far away. And just in case you haven't watched part 1 yet, or simply want to watch it again, part 1 is available right here on screen. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, trust me, bro.
He crazy. Yeah, I wouldn't take shit on that list. Damn, fuck the gummies too. Shouts out to Bob Linda.
This is day 3 of the KOV challenge. So one of the things that we're supposed to do is ask a question, and one of the questions I'm interested in is, what do you think about my channel? When I started this channel, I started it, well, for me, I'm a type A personality and I needed to relax. I have some disabilities that are related to stress, and it seems like people like them and watch them. But you guys tell me what you think. Bye.
Welcome to Medical Marijuana and Wellness. Today's topic is terpenes, the key to medical marijuana. Probably one of the most important compounds in cannabis to understand, especially from a medical marijuana standpoint. Today I'm going to be joined by Amy Green, an RN at MMTC of Florida. And I do want to point out to everybody, this is a presentation for information purposes. Naturally, if you need any medical advice, please contact your physician or your medical marijuana doctor. Amy, let's talk terpenes. What are terpenes?
Sure. So terpenes are going to be the fat-loving compound that give cannabis its smell and its taste. So these are naturally occurring compounds that are also found in flowers, spices, fruits, vegetables, and essential oils. So this is what gives those products what they smell like and what they taste like.
Yeah, really interesting, because this is where the medical benefits from medical cannabis comes from, and it's actually something that the plant uses while it's growing to defend itself from fungus, insects, pests, and that type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the plant's natural defense mechanisms against all of those things.
Yeah, all the aroma and a lot of the taste comes from that you'll see here. When we talk about terpenes, there's terpenes and then there's terpenoids. One has undergone oxidation or been dried and one hasn't. What's interesting is that when you look at the world of cannabis, I tend to look at cannabis as a whole medicine cabinet that includes not only cannabinoids, but also the terpenes. And I think people don't pay enough attention to terpenes because those working together produce the entourage effect. And Amy, what's the entourage effect?
Sure. So the entourage effect is when you have the combination of cannabinoids, terpenes, and flavonoids, which are also smell and taste compounds found in cannabis. When all of these compounds are working together, you end up with really nice synergistic effects, and that's really what's going to give you the benefits from medical cannabis.
That's really the magic of medical cannabis. So when you're looking at cannabis itself, it's terpenes and cannabinoids and flavonoids all really working together. That's what it's made up of. And again, that creates that entourage effect that you were just talking about. And a couple of examples are when people are starting to learn how to dose, I recommend keeping some CBD oil around so that if you're starting to begin to feel the psychoactive effects of THC, you can take some CBD and it'll really calm you down or bring you back down.
Yeah, absolutely. THC and CBD really work very well together, and especially for new patients, I always recommend starting with a ratio product. It's going to be a little bit easier to deal with any side effects such as that high feeling, just because it's not going to be as strong, and it's going to be better well controlled by the CBD.
Sure. So terpenes are very, very important. There are cannabis-derived terpenes, of which we know there's over 200 of them. Really only about 100 of them are being studied right now. But why don't you explain the pros and cons of the cannabis-derived terpenes?
Yeah, so there are two different ways that terpenes can be derived. One is going to be from the cannabis plant. The hard thing with this is it is a difficult process because the cannabis plant only naturally produces small amounts of these compounds. So it is difficult to extract the terpenes in large amounts. So when you have cannabis-derived terpenes, they are going to be in the ratio that plant produced it. But again, you are limited to whatever that plant is producing.
Sure, and that's why it makes it pretty, let's say, a lot costlier than
Shouts out to the Center Hogan Seed Company. Y'all already know. We said we got some genetics coming up. Autobots for you Decepticons. You see what I'm saying? We know we don't have to ride.
Lemons.
We don't have to.
Lemons
roll out like
contain a
Optimus
terpene
Prime.
called limonene, and from that, the limonene can be extracted and then sold as just concentrated limonene. It's a lot easier to produce or extract botanical terpenes than it is to extract terpenes from cannabis.
Sure. And, it's interesting because high quality botanical derived terpenes or BDTs are really difficult to find. There's a lot of terpenes out there, but the high quality ones are there. And actually the number of practitioners in the state of that know how to use it are very limited. I mean, in the state of Florida, I only know 4. And in the United States, I only know 6. So maybe I should just get out more. I don't know, but it's something that this is a little bit of magic, but something that's really, really important. I do want to point out, and I'm not trying to have everybody read this whole table. This is an example of all the terpenes that are found in cannabis. And again, there's over 200 of them that have been identified. About 100 of them are being studied. And again, in nature, there's about 20,000 that have been studied. So let's dig down and talk about terpenes. Talk to me about some of your favorites and why they work.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely my favorite terpene is myrcene. That's just one that I really, really like. However, it's not always the most prevalent. Limonene and beta-caryophyllene are two of the most common terpenes. So a little bit about limonene. This is going to be a fruity or citrusy terpene. That's the aroma that you'll get from it. However, the effects are really great for lifting your mood, relieving stress and anxiety, anti-inflammatory. It's an antioxidant, and it's really great at relieving heartburn, gastric reflux, and it helps support digestion. So limonene is just a terpene, but it has a whole lot of benefits.
Right, and here's some of the cultivars or strains that you'll find that it's in, and we'll talk about temperatures later. But this is a good idea that, going back to myrcene is probably one of the most commonly found terpenes in cannabis. Not only is it anti-inflammatory, but it's also a muscle relaxant and sedative, which really helps quite a bit with stress and anxiety.
Absolutely, it can be a really great choice to find a cultivar that you want to use in the evening time if you're looking for relaxation or to help you get to sleep. Something that has a high percentage of myrcene can definitely give you those benefits that you're looking for.
Sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sure. So another one that I really love is pinene, and that's going to be that rich pine smell, like you're walking through a pine forest. Really great for pain, really great for stress and anxiety, anti-inflammatory, and it can also improve or help improve short-term memory. But really, it's that strong smell that you get from rosemary, basil, pine trees.
Sure, and when you talk about improved short-term memory, it does do that. If PTS is one of the issues that you're looking for, you may want to go easy on or just try to avoid pinene just to be safe. Also, when you talk about bronchial inhaler, I think it's important to point out this works very much like bronchial inhalers that we have in pharma drugs. It's something that has been designed and can be used with your lungs, very different than smoking. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, cannabis has been shown to be an effective bronchodilator, and part of that is the terpenes that are in that specific strain that a person is using. For example, alpha-pinene has been shown to be an effective bronchodilator and help open up the airways.
Right, right. And linalool is one of the big favorites.
Yeah, so linalool is what you think of when you smell lavender. It has a strong lavender smell. It's really great for elevating your mood, stress, anxiety, really great for insomnia and improving the quality of your sleep. It also has sedative effects, and it can be used for pain, antifungal, or antimicrobial uses.
So like an antifungal and antimicrobial. Humulene is one that's not known very popular from the standpoint of the press, but it really has some not only earthy tones, but it helps with a lot of different conditions.
Absolutely. So humulene is that smell that we associate with hops and tobacco, ginseng, cilantro. It's that deep, earthy smell. Really great for inflammation, antibacterial, antifungal. And it's also been shown to help suppress appetite. So if somebody is worried about getting the quote-unquote munchies when they're using cannabis product, if you're looking for strains or cultivars that are higher in humulene, it can help suppress that stimulated appetite.
Sure. Now, there's a couple others that you mentioned, beta-caryophyllene earlier. Why don't we start there, because that's one of your favorites as well.
Yeah, it really is. So this is going to be that spicy, earthy, woody smell that you'll get with black pepper, cinnamon, oregano, and cloves. And that specific terpene is great for its anti-inflammatory and pain-relieving effects. It's also a powerful antidepressant. Great for alcohol cravings, relieving stress and anxiety. And it may also augment some types of chemotherapy. So this is a very powerful terpene.
Yeah, now that's kind of important for a lot of people, fortunately or unfortunately. Terpinolene is interesting. Why don't you start with that one?
Sure. So terpinolene is going to have a floral, fresh, woody smell similar to lilacs, apples, nutmeg, or cumin. It's really great for elevating the mood. Its antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial properties also has been shown to have antioxidant activity, and it may help reduce the proliferation of cancer cells in the body.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Citronella. So why don't you start there?
Sir, so citronellol is going to have a bright, fresh scent to it. It's what you might associate with citronella, basil, catnip, eucalyptus, ginger. Has almost that sharp smell. So it can possibly be a neuroprotectant. It does have anticonvulsant properties. It has been shown to have bronchodilator properties. It has antiseptic, antifungal properties, and it's a great anti-inflammatory. And it may help with hypertension or high blood pressure.
Yeah, that's great. And phytol is really interesting as well.
Sure, so that's going to have a floral, balsamic, grassy smell. It's what you would smell if you can think of green tea, that smell. So very earthy, but very subtle. It's great for relieving stress and anxiety, anti-inflammatory, pain relief. It is an antioxidant. It does have sedative properties, so it can help with relaxation or with getting asleep and staying asleep. And then it can also help with convulsions. So if somebody has a seizure disorder or an epilepsy disorder, it can help with controlling seizures.
Yeah. One of my favorites is eucalyptol.
Yeah, absolutely. This is that mint smell. So this is what you'll find in eucalyptus, cardamom, tea tree oil, and sage. So it has a very pungent smell to it.
Cookies.
Great antifungal properties. It has been shown to have pain relieving properties. It may help reduce blood pressure. It is a great anti-inflammatory. It may also help with sinus infections, and it may also help improve cognitive function for those with dementia.
Now, that's very interesting itself. One of the questions is, how do you find what terpenes are inside the product you're looking at? And this is where the certificate of analysis comes into play.
Yeah, absolutely. So specifically in the state of Florida, any product sold in a dispensary must be accompanied by a certificate of analysis. So anytime you're purchasing a product, whether that is a gummy or it's a concentrate or flour, they have to be able to produce a certificate analysis for you. And that's going to give you a lot of important information, not only the total amount of cannabinoids in that product, but specifically the breakdown of terpenes in that product. So on this example, we can see that there's a lot of limonene, and then farnesene is going to be the second largest terpene, followed by linalool, carotene, alpha-humulene, saponine. And all of these terpenes combined together are what's giving that specific cultivar or strain of cannabis its properties. So this is what's going to give you those pain relieving properties, the anti-inflammatory, the antioxidant effects. It's going to be down to what terpenes are in that specific product.
And as you mentioned, any product that you buy from a dispensary here in Florida, you can ask for the certificate of analysis and they'll be able to produce that for you. In fact, I think they're putting QR codes on most of the products so you can actually look it up with your cell phone.
Yeah, I have seen that, and it's way easier for patients to then find the information that they're looking for and find that particular product that's going to work very well for them.
Mm-hmm. And then this goes back to the different routes of administration. And I know we just finished a webinar on this, and I'm going to refer people back to that webinar to go through each of these different routes of administration. But again, when you're looking at these particular products, go back and get
flowers
the
and
COAs
concentrates,
so you know exactly what terpenes are going to fit into this profile. But I do want to highlight a couple, at least a couple of them down here: the inhalation, the flower, and the concentrates. When you're looking for how do I get the best terpenes out of that, that relates to the temperature that you're using.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're using something like flower, you're using the flower of the plant, the temperature that you apply to that product is going to change how much THC is released, how much terpenes are released, and how much of those substances are burned off in the process. So when you apply low heat, you're going to get more terpenes. It's going to have a lot stronger smell and taste, but you might be getting a slightly lower level of THC in that dose. Versus a high dose, you're going to get a higher THC dose, but you might have slightly less terpenes because they tend to burn off at a lower temperature.
Yeah, and this not only applies to flour, but when you're using a flour vaporizer, but it also applies if you're using concentrates. Because one of the reasons why you go to a concentrate, a rosin, a resin, hash, something like that, is to be able to take advantage of the terpenes. And again, you have on your terpene pen, you have usually at least 3 settings and sometimes 4, the low, medium, and high, and this corresponds to those 3 settings.
Yeah, and you're totally right. It is not just flour. You will find this is very helpful when you're using a vape pen, when you're using a dab pen or a dab rig. The temperature that you choose to use your product at, it does make a difference for how that product is going to work for you.
Sure. Well, listen, any final comments, Amy?
No, I think we've covered it, but if you do have any more questions, feel free to drop them in the question and answer section or stop by Marijuana Aware and check out some of the previous webinars that we've done on these topics.
Yeah, you can also send us an email to events@marijuanaaware.com, and more importantly, follow us on social media. We have not only this webinar or this particular video, but other videos that, like, for example, routes of administration and the basics of medical marijuana. Thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at the webinars.
That's a dope-ass logo. I like that.
Give it gas when I'm dipping competition, getting past, living fast, furious, staying on track, never worry when I'm spinning. Last better getting back, ride from a dog, alphabeted on us, you gon' get it back. Never split this pack. Whenever I witness cap, we ain't fucking with your fiction, facts, your conviction lacks. When I get up in my bag, I'ma spend, we ain't tripping off tax, clipping this tag, working on my wish list, cooking this cake. Let me flip this stack. You a flash in the pan, while you relaxing, I can. My team in the pack, the sedan, putting tracks in the sand, pushing my craft at the fan, got the people all clapping their hands, putting cash in my brand, keeping my octane high, my graded premium, not 8-9 or 8-7, and when I run across state line, I'm 9-1, I gun it, clock great time, my time come, disappearing in the dark horizon, way I cut turns, I'm as sharp as diamonds, got them on tilt like a car's alignment, this is raw refinement, not a hard assignment, I'ma give it gas, give it gas, bitch.
And that's the videos for today. Y'all know to go ahead and find y'all something else to do, because I ain't gonna sit here and keep entertaining y'all. It's Sunday morning. If y'all want me to keep going, y'all better hit the buy me a coffee. Yeah, well, I mean, nobody hit the buy me a coffee yet this morning, so we're gonna go ahead and go. Y'all enjoy the videos for the replay game, and make sure y'all hit that thing over there and set y'all up a buy me a coffee, because your monetization coach ain't trying to tell y'all how not to make money. I mean, follow the moves. That's why the workbook was the workbook. Hey, put it in for yourself. You see what I'm saying? Hit that review button on the big homie, because he did it for you. He got you a video to review. He ain't even talk that much down. So if you get you a video editor, you really ain't got to do too much clipping of me out, because you keep me in the parts that you want to hear, and then cut out the rest of the bullshit, and then you got a video to go ahead and review. See, there you go. I'm trying to tell y'all, it might be easy for y'all to get some money one of these days. We're gonna keep it popping. Y'all know we got this son of Otis Seed Company sponsored grows coming up. Shouts out to the Homework 2025 game plan. We're gonna probably get that cracking off here in a bit. I still got a couple side projects I need to finish up before I go ahead and lock in and get this loaded up and ready to go. But you know how we do. We're gonna get this shit ready. It's gonna be some pretty plants. We got to get some pictures for Triple B, because him and Corey both want explicit files for work done. So then we're gonna have to get our invoice game up too. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have to send y'all some invoices, because y'all gonna be trying to work the hell out of me. But the businessman I am, we gonna make that the business, and so everybody will be happy. But y'all know how we do. We'll see y'all Wednesday at 6, and then next Saturday and Sunday at 10 a.m.